Supermarine Spitfire is probably the most famous and iconic British aircraft ever built. When you see a Spitfire, or hear one, you are instantly drawn towards the idea of the Battle of Britain, and the Spitfire seeing off a Messerschmitt Bf 109 in an exhilarating dogfight. However, what is the story behind Britain's most memorable aircraft? In 1931, the Air Ministry released a requirement called Specification F730, calling for a modern fighter capable of travelling at flying speeds of over 250 miles per hour or 400 kilometers per hour. R.J. Mitchell, an already accomplished aircraft designer, responded by creating the Supermarine Type 224, and this made its first flight in February 1934. Previously, Mitchell had designed several flying boats such as the Supermarine Sea King or the Supermarine Walrus. Originally, the Type 224 was a disappointment, and Mitchell immediately began to tweak and clean up its design. After a series of changes, including the fitting of a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, Mitchell began to tailor his design for the Type 300 model. On December 1, 1934, the Air Ministry issued a contract giving £10,000 for the construction of a single prototype. On the 5th of March 1936, the prototype K5056 took off from Eastleigh Aerodrome, and after an 8-minute flight, landed back safely on the ground. This would be the first flight of the early Spitfire design. After much more tweaking, including the fitting of a new engine and propeller, on the 3rd of June 1936, the Air Ministry placed an order for 310 Spitfires. In mid-1938, the first production Spitfire was created, and the cost for all 310 aircraft would come to just under £3 million. Most would assume that the Spitfire's name originates from its ability to fire bullets ferociously from the machine guns. However, it originates from Sir Robert McLean, the chairman of Vickers Aviation, and his pet name for his daughter Annie, who he called a little Spitfire. Allegedly, designer R.J. Mitchell did not like the name, preferring names such as the Shrew or the Scarab. The most recognisable feature on a Spitfire has to be the elliptical wings. This distinctive feature delivered induced drag, but the wings were also thin enough to avoid excessive drag. The Spitfire's crowning moment has to be the Battle of Britain. In 1940, following Germany's quick defeat of France, Hitler wanted to invade Britain. Operation Sea Lion was the code name for Hitler's plan. However, to do this, he needed to secure the skies over England and eliminate the RAF. It was the Luftwaffe versus the RAF. After mass-producing aircraft and violating the Treaty of Versailles, the Luftwaffe was the largest and most feared air force in the world. It was looking rather bleak for Britain, and it needed its air force to save it from certain and inevitable invasion and occupation. The RAF tactic would see the Hurricanes and Spitfires flying together. The Hurricane would attack the bomber aircraft, and the Spitfires would go up against the escort fighters, the feared Messerschmitt Bf 109s. The pilots of the RAF were supported by a great number of staff. The ground crew were in charge of repairing, rearming and refuelling the aircraft. Radar operators were tasked with giving up to an hour's warning of an approach from enemy aircraft. Anti-aircraft command would also aid with the shooting down of the Luftwaffe aircraft. One must also not forget the factory workers who built the aircraft parts, with production increasing by 60% by the summer of 1940. With regards to speed, the Spitfire could easily reach speeds of 350 miles per hour, topping out at 370 miles per hour. World War II pilots would say that you would have to keep moving and manoeuvring every few seconds to avoid being hit. The Spitfire would handle excellently and allow these quick manoeuvres to be made. The Battle of Britain concluded with Hitler resigning himself to defeat and switching his attention to Russia due to the heroic actions of the RAF. Winston Churchill famously stated that never in the field of human conflict was so much owed to so few, referring to the pilots of the RAF. In total, by the 31st of October, the Allies had lost 1,547 aircraft, suffering 966 casualties, including the deaths of 522 pilots. The Luftwaffe had suffered the loss of 1,887 aircraft. After the Second World War, the Spitfire became a cultural icon in Britain, starring in many films such as Reach for the Sky and the Battle of Britain, which celebrated the iconic aircraft. Today you can still see them at airshows and museums across Britain. To end this video, we will give you some stats behind the aircraft. The Spitfire was first mass produced in 1938. The amount built were 20,351. They cost £12,604 to build, which in nowadays would equate to around £800,000. The top speed of the Spitfire was 370 miles per hour. The engine was a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine with 1,130 brake horsepower, and other key features on the aircraft include the elliptical wings and 8 machine guns that could deliver a concentration of 160 rounds per second. We hope you enjoyed this brief look at the Spitfire. To support the channel, please remember to subscribe. Thank you again for watching.